the last
Okay.
4.
Okay. And what grade are you guys in?
7.
Seventh grade. What school do you guys go to? Arroyo Vista. And you said you go to Los Alisos? What school do you go to?
CRA.
Sierra?
CRA,
Oh,
Community
CRA.
Grace Academy.
Oh, I know exactly where that is. I'm a teacher in Capistrano Unified. I teach first grade. I teach in Aliso Viejo. I have 3 boys. They all went to school here or go to school here in Ladera. My youngest is in 7th grade at Ladera Ranch Middle School, so you might know him. His name is Trey.
I know.
Trey Librand, really blonde hair.
I know.
Librand is his last name. He's a 7th grade. Don't whisper about him. He's super sweet. No, I'm just kidding.
No, it's something else. She was
Don't
talking
whisper.
about one of his friends that we know.
Yeah. And then I have my middle son is a freshman at Tesoro, and my oldest son is a senior at Tesoro. Okay, and I teach first grade. I've taught kindergarten. I've been teaching for 22 years, so I work a lot with kids.
Yes.
But Miss Christine wanted me to come tonight to kind of talk to you about something that has really affected my life, to so that bring awareness to you guys. So I am I'm a cancer survivor. I'm been a survivor for about 7.5 years. I was diagnosed when I was 40 with breast cancer. I had stage 3 breast cancer. So what a stage is, the bigger the stage, the more serious the disease. Fortunately, I had really good doctors, and I paid really good attention to my body, and was able to go and catch it enough, early enough. Stage 3, not super early, but early enough where I could get really good medical help and work my way through it. But cancer is a huge thing that affects many, many, many people.
Can you tell them how many stages there are?
There are 4 stages of cancer. Actually, there's a lot of people who will be diagnosed like stage 0, and that just means that your cancer is very, very, very contained. They can just take it out. It's not a big deal. Then there's stage 1, stage 2. Stage 3 depends on how big your tumors are, and if it's left its actual cancer site. So my cancer had actually left the site where it was and was traveling through my bloodstream and was in my lymph nodes, which are kind of like your filtering system for your blood. So they went in right away, and they said it was really, 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 really large, very, very, a very aggressive form of cancer. I did chemotherapy for 6 months, where they go in, you take the really bad medicine. I had to give myself belly shots for 7 days after each treatment. I had treatment every 3 weeks, lost all my hair. Did that, and then once I did that, I went in and had surgery. I had a mastectomy where they go in and they make sure that they take all of the cancer out, and thankful for me, when they did that, all the cancer, they go through and they inspect all the tissue, and there was no cancer to be found. So the chemotherapy had killed it off, which was really, really wonderful. But they still put you on a lot of more treatments. I went through 6.5 weeks of radiation after that. I did a year of a drug called Herceptin, which is a really wonderful drug that everybody who goes on that Herceptin has not had a reoccurrence, according to my oncologist. Not everybody gets to take that. All depends on what your tumors are like. I still take medication to this day. I will be on medication until I'm 10 years out. And once I'm 10 years out, I get to stop medication and continue my life. But I'm continuing and living my life right now. But cancer has really affected me. When I was diagnosed, my kids were 5. Trey was 5. So you guys would have been 5. He was just starting kindergarten. My middle son was in 2nd grade, and my oldest was in 5th grade. I was working full-time as a teacher, taught kindergarten, and being really aware of like my body, and really busy time. It was back to school night, and teachers get all worried about parents coming, and I woke up that morning and I kind of felt like I had a golf ball underneath my arm. And I was like, wow, I went to bed the night before and I felt totally fine, and I woke up the next morning and had a golf ball under my arm. Couldn't feel a golf ball like if I were to feel, but I felt like there was a golf ball under my arm. I thought, oh, I must have slept wrong. Must have slept with my arm up, whatever. And I went to work, kind of kept it in the back of my head, started thinking about it, and I'm like, no, this doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel right. So if you ever feel like something's not right, bring it to the attention of your parents, to a doctor. You need to bring it to them. And I went to the doctor, and they confirmed. I went through a lot of testing and started my journey. and I'm very, very fortunate that I have a lot of support. So when you hear of people having cancer, it's a very scary thing for them because, like for me, I didn't know would I be able to see my children grow up. Very,
It's a very emotional topic.
but I had the support of my community, of my family who lives close, my husband, and also my friends. So you guys have a really good friend base right now, and you need to keep that, because what got me through was strangers, people I didn't know who may have been a friend of a friend, would bring me dinner. They signed up on a meal train and brought me dinner. I met so many people. I got cards every single week. I would love to go out to my mailbox and I'd be like, oh my gosh, oh, I get a card from somebody. And it wasn't like, I hope you're feeling better, which is nothing wrong with those kind of cards, but they're funny cards. It was like something to brighten your day. It was like a joke card. You know how you see those funny cards? To this day, I still go and look at the cards in the grocery store. And I kept every single one of them. I still have them 7 years later. I still have all those cards. They brought a lot of joy to my life, and I'd be like, oh, because when you're sick with cancer, you don't want everybody to go, oh my gosh, and feel sorry for you. You want to live. You want to live and be super, gosh, go out and be with my kids and do everything that you can. So to have those cards, to have people be funny, that just was like, okay, I'm living. And then when I was really devastated, obviously, when I was diagnosed. But once I got my power back, because when you're diagnosed, you don't have any power. It's a disease that just takes away your power. You're kind of like under its control. But once I got my power back and I started my treatment, I felt a lot better, and I found a lot of silver linings in cancer. And
How did you get your power back?
Once I got my treatment plan, and the doctor said, hey, we're going to beat this. This is what we're going to do. You're going to do this, 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 and this. And I was like, I can do that. It's going to be a year of awfulness. It's 1 year, I can do it. Got my power back, I can do it. And then it was like, okay, I'm going to trudge through it. And there's a lot of silver linings in cancer, and you just have to go out and find them. Taking my kids, I worked full time and never could take my kids to school. I got to take my kids to school that year. I never could pick my kids up from school because my school starts at the same time, ends at the same time. I got to pick my kids up from school that year. True silver lining, going down to the beach and just enjoying like the gorgeousness of it. Taking my kids to lunch at Burger King where they have that little, I don't even know if they still have it, that yellow climby tube thing.
Yeah.
And all my boys went in there and they were all laying down like cracking up, and I was like, I get to do this. It's really important. So when I now have many friends who have gone through cancer, and I have mentored a bunch of them, and a couple of them have been teachers at my school or teachers that I have worked with. There's a dad, Mr. Needleman. I don't know if you know the Needlemans.
Oh, I feel like I've heard them before.
When he went through cancer, would send him cards, and just knowing that there's someone there to support you is really, really, really important. I go every year and participate in the Susan Komen Walk. I don't know if you guys have heard the Race for the Cure. They do it in Newport Beach. They do it everywhere, all across the country, but the one in Newport, it is so heartwarming. As a survivor, you go there and random strangers will bring you a flower and just say, they give you beads for every year that you're a survivor, and they make you feel like, wow, you have done this amazing thing, and it's so heartwarming. If you ever get a chance to go and do that walk, go do it. Thousands and thousands of people that are there. And it's a lot of fun. You walk, there's cheerleaders. It is an amazing experience. And you really feel like, wow, these people all need support. And then by you being there, you make a big difference. You make a big difference.
Just thinking this.
Oh, sure. Take notes. Let's see. So I mentor people. I'm a survivor. I've also been touched by cancer with other people. My mother had cancer. My father had cancer. I lost my father when I was a teenager to cancer. It touches a lot of people. There are people your age who have cancer that go to your school, who when you, maybe not yours because I don't know who goes to your school, but I know your school. When you see them, you want to give them the support and show them, hey, wow, you're doing a great thing, I support you. Or just say hi, give them a high five, or you know, a smile when you walk by people, because you don't know what they're fighting or what they're dealing with inside. So, there's a lot of people around.
No way.
Nothing.
I think there's one person that I know of that has cancer at our school, and like I love how she's one of the most positive people I've ever met,
Mhm.
and I love that.
Yeah, you have to stay positive, because what are you gonna do? Oh, woe is me, it's awful. You'll be just depressed, and it will not be fun. You want positivity. You want people to be around you who are gonna say, hey, let's go out and do this, and bring cards and a flower or a little care package. I used to open up my mailbox and I'd get a little pair of warm fuzzy socks, and I'd be like, oh, I have socks. You know, and it would be really exciting or a cute little beanie. I'd get a cute little beanie.
And you were getting these things from people
I didn't
you didn't
know.
even really know.
People I didn't even really know.
Did you find that interesting?
A lot of, I have a friend who I wasn't super close with, but our sons were friends in school, and she belonged to a Bible study group, and she had her Bible study group pray for me, and they gave me, they sent me a gift card, because it was the holidays. I was diagnosed in November, in December, so that I could go out, if I needed to go and buy Christmas presents for my children. Which is like, I don't even know these people.
That's amazing.
But it really touches your heart. So when you're thinking about people with cancer, think that they want to experience joy. They don't want you to feel sorry for them. They want you to bring them joy. Bring them joy. So, I don't know anything else.
Do girls have questions for Ms. Jen? It's a big topic.
Yes.
Has anyone ever talked to you about cancer before?
Yes.
Yeah? Any questions that come up?
You still had to teach when you had cancer, right?
You know what? No, I didn't. I had to take the year off. So it was right before parent conferences and report cards. And I was like, how am I going to leave? Because as a teacher, we never want to leave our classrooms, and we don't want to relinquish that control. But I had to say, you know what? These kids are going to be fine, and I'm going to take care of me, because if I don't, then I'm not good to anybody. So I did. I took the year off, which is why I got to take my children to school, and why I got to pick them up from school, which was really important. And I got to volunteer in their classrooms. Even with that, I got myself a cute little wig, and I wasn't gonna let anything stop me, and I went out and actually bought 2 wigs, one that looked more relaxed, like I had just, jumped in the car, and one that was a little bit more, fancy. But my hair all came back, and I tell people all the time that, it's a year of yuck. It really is a year of yuck. But once you get to the other side of it, the blessings that there are to look back and just appreciate your life, and to appreciate your family and your friends and everybody around you is amazing.
What do you do now for other people that are going through cancer?
The friends or the people that I know who have had cancer, mostly I'll talk to them on the phone. We send each other texts. I get little texts back and forth, hope you're having a great day, or send them just a little funny something. Texting is a great little way to do it. I personally enjoy going and getting an actual card in the mail. So that's why I still love to go and look at the cards in the grocery store as I'm shopping and going, this is a really cute one, and I have a whole stack of cards that I keep, so that I have something, when I need some, because it brightens someone's day. A card in the mail means so much more than just a little email. An email or texts are fun every once in a while, but getting a card is really, really special. Really special.
Question. I have a million of them, but I don't want to take your questions, girls.
Is the cancer you had, I don't know the word for it, but was it like genetics? So like, was it passed down?
No, my cancer, they give you a testing to find out if you carry like a breast cancer gene. I do not have the breast cancer gene, but interestingly enough, my mother ended up with breast cancer, but after I did. So hers is a tribute to her age, because she was in her 70s when she got it, and mine was, whoa, because I was young. I was 40, and they start doing your mammograms and your testing and things when you're 40. I made an appointment to get my mammogram done before I found out before I discovered it on my own. But that appointment was already set, and it was kind of like, wow, how did I know that I needed to make that appointment when it was literally 4 days from when I felt the lump to when I went to that appointment. That appointment had been scheduled for months.
Does everyone know what a mammogram is?
So they go in and they take pictures to make sure that everything is all good.
It's like an X-ray of your breast,
Yeah.
sort of.
So just be real aware of your bodies and what you're feeling, and if anything looks different, don't be embarrassed, don't be ashamed, don't go, oh, it's nothing, I'm too scared to find out, because the best thing you can do is to find out and be proactive and go, oh, because it might just be nothing, and then but if it is something, you want to take care of it, and then you live a wonderful life, and you get on the other side, and you're like, hey, I don't even feel like I'm a cancer person. I mean, I know that I am, but I don't feel like I'm sick or anything.
Can you share the story you shared with me about the little girl in your classroom?
Oh, my little friend Bodie. I forgot about her. Okay, so I teach first grade, and how could I forget about her? I go to her house every day. She, when you're in first grade, you sit at your reading table, and the kids sit around your teacher, you do your little reading groups. And I was doing a little testing on with my students, and one of the little girls was reading to me. And as she was reading, I was kind of looking at her, I'm like, she had a bruise on her arm the size of my hand. It wasn't like a grab, it was the size of my hand, and it was puffy and yellow, and I was like, I kept asking her, I'm like, Bodie, does your arm hurt? She's like, no, it doesn't hurt. Like, where did you get that bruise? I don't know. I'm like, because I didn't notice it the day before. So I was looking at it, and I'm like, this is really suspicious. And being, once you have cancer, you search the internet and you try and read up and learn as much as you can. And in my head, I was thinking, I need to talk to this mom. So after school, I saw her mom, and I said, hey, can I talk to you? And she had just seen her arm, and she was like, what happened at school? And I said, nothing happened at school. I said, she had this bruise when I was, sitting and reading with her. Something's going on. And her mom's like, I don't know. Is she falling? And I said, in my mind, I'm thinking she has cancer. But I can't go and say, I think your kid has cancer. I don't want to freak the mom out. And so I told the mom, I said, you might want to consider taking her to the doctor. She could, have something going on. And the mom's like, what could be going on? And I said, well, I know that blood disorders cause bruising. And then her mom said, oh. She was kind of like, wow. Took her home that night, was sending me, emailing pictures of bruises all over her back that were just popping up. Took her to the emergency room that night. She had a blood transfusion, and she started chemotherapy the very next day. She's been out, she'll be out for the entire school year, and then I homeschool teach her because she was in my class. So I go to her home 2 hours a day, and I teach her first grade so that she doesn't fall behind. So she's going through very aggressive chemotherapy. She had to go through cranial radiation where they radiate. I don't quite understand why you radiate a brain for leukemia. But I think that's probably where your blood cells, or I don't know how it works. She's the sweetest little thing, and she talks to me all the time. She got a port. I had a port, which is a special, I don't have it anymore, thing where they go in. So instead of going through your veins to give you the medicine, they go through a port that's in your chest that goes directly into your main arteries. So it doesn't hurt. It's the most wonderful thing ever. And Bodie got one, and she was like, oh, I got a port. I'm like, oh my gosh, I had one too. She's like, oh, I have that scar too. And so we talked about that. She doesn't have any hair, and she asks me all the time. She wants straight hair really bad. She asked me, she's like, is your hair curly before? And I said, no. She's like, oh, I was really hoping mine would come back straight. And I said, you never know, but probably it's going to be curly. But we talk about it, and we have a really good bond. She goes to the hospital. She's still in treatment. She gets lumbar punctures where they have to go in and they check her spine to make sure that the cancer is going away. And she's doing very, very well. But it's one of those things when I come over, it's like, Mrs. Lyra is here. She's super excited because she doesn't get to go to school. She doesn't get to be with friends. And I get to kind of bring that to her. So yeah, I forgot about Bodie.
Does your classroom do stuff for her?
My classroom, actually, the hospital where she was going through, she goes through Kaiser, they have this thing called Monkey in My Chair. So we have a big stuffed monkey that sits in her chair so that she's always a part of our classroom, has a backpack, and so the kids write letters and things and put it in her backpack, and then I take them to her. And then she writes back, and everything that we do in the classroom, I take and do with her. So if we're doing an art project that's up on the wall, I go and do it with her, and I bring hers and put it up on the wall, so she's always a part of the classroom. And it's funny today, Little League season started, and she has an older brother who's in Little League, and my other students have older brothers too, and they all came in. We saw Bodie yesterday, and they were so excited they saw her at the ball field.
Oh,
So they were all, it's really sweet.
that's great. It's such a great story.
My little Bodie story. So I'll be teaching her obviously through the end of the school year, but I go to her house and do that after school. So when the parents see me booking it out of there at 3 o'clock, thinking she leaves so early, not leaving.
Yeah, you're from your other job.
To go and take care of Bodie. And trust me, it's not about any kind of extra money. It's about this little girl. She wants, all she talks about, we have a little notebook that we keep, and every day she gives it to me, and I write her a little note like, I really like your kitty, and just silly little notes. And she always writes back, and the first thing she said was, I love school. And I said, well, good, you get to have school, you get to have me all to yourself. She goes, but I don't get to have recess. And I don't get to buy the lunches in the lunch line and eat with my friends. And so when you think about that, think about the things that those kids, people are missing out on, even if you take it for granted. So that's my little buddy. So cancer has affected me in many, 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 many ways. When I was going through, I wrote an article for the Orange County Register, and then they came out and took pictures down at Cox Sports Park with me and my kids.
Pictures were great. I sent it to everybody.
Don't laugh at my hair. My hair was this long. It was about a week before I went back to work. I finished radiation, and a week later I went back to work full time. And then I was there still on medication.
That's so funny. It's a cute picture. Your boys were so young. I know. Questions, girls? Go ahead. She's all ours. This is a very big treat.
You can ask me anything because I'm pretty much open about everything.
Yeah.
Pretty much open.
Cancer is a big topic.
It is. Do you guys know anybody who's had cancer? Yeah? Who's had cancer in your family?
Well, not my family, but like my fourth grade teacher.
And what was her name?
This is Mom. What was my fourth grade teacher's name? What was her name?
Why are you supposed to remember all the teachers? Where'd you go?
It was at Stony Brook. It was a private school.
I went to Stony Brook, and I guess like that. No,
It was the year before that you.
I forgot her name, but anyways, it started with H. But I guess all the
Oh,
boys that year
no.
shaved their heads, and all the girls cut their hair like really short so that they can like do something for her. Show support. Yeah.
Show support, which is very sweet. And my husband did that before I lost my hair. It was like Thanksgiving, and my husband thought, I'm gonna shave my head and be supportive, so he shaved his head, and it just made me cry. I was like, I didn't want that realization of like, oh my gosh, now I don't want to lose my hair. Why would you do that on purpose? And it was really emotional for me. I was like, it'll grow back, I promise. And it did. But yeah, there's lots of things you can do to show support. And don't be surprised if you think you're doing a good thing and then they cry, because that's all emotions, and it's those emotions, even good emotions, make you cry. Anybody else been affected by cancer or know someone? Yeah?
My great aunt.
Your great aunt? Yeah, it's pretty common these days. I'm gonna say popular, but common these days. Is she okay?
Yeah.
Good. Good. I'm glad to hear. Who have you known?
My grandmother had breast cancer and survived. My grandfather, I don't know what type of cancer he had, but he had cancer. He passed away when I was about 3.
When you were little? Yeah. You know what was really good for my kids when I was going through it is they did not know, my boys were too young to know that when you had cancer could be a death sentence. They didn't know that. They just knew Mom was sick. And it was really good for me that they didn't have that correlation between cancer and death, because as you get older you get that correlation and then it becomes extremely scary. But I didn't want that for my kids. I wanted them to have a normal life. They were just like, they knew Mom had cancer, they knew I lost my hair, they knew I wasn't working that year, and that I had a lot of doctor's appointments, but I was still Mom. It was get your homework done, and it was still all, I wanted them to just have everything the same. It was important.
Did you lose your strength when you were going through chemo?
You get very tired. I took a lot of naps. But you have to exercise and you have to keep going, because if you don't, then you become a blob. And I didn't want to be a blob. I had 3 little kids, and I wanted to be there for them and be mom. So, yeah, I took a lot of naps when they were at school with my doggy right next to me.
Did your doggy realize something was wrong?
My doggy was constantly by my side, but she ended up dying when I was going through chemo. So it was really difficult. She died in February, and I was going through chemo. I still had surgery to go through. When I finished all of my main treatment, I went and I found myself a little gift, and her name is Gracie, and she's a little beagle, and she's gonna be 7 here in a couple weeks.
Oh my gosh.
And so she is my little present for me for getting through cancer.
Did you get her as a puppy?
Our
Oh
little
my gosh, that's a lot of work.
Yes, I got her as a puppy. Yes,
What was your first dog's name?
her name was Red, and she was a beagle also.
My dog's like, I hate this part of the story. Sure.
I was like, she was like crying, like, I forgot she's out there. She's not out there, she's in my mom's office.
She's in my office.
She's like, let me out.
She's a puppy. She's a 7-month-old puppy, so she will jump and pee on everybody.
That was perfect timing.
She's her little leaper. She's awesome. What other questions, girls? Does anything about her story kind of touch something inside of you? Maybe an area that you think you might be able to do something with Girl Scouts? I wrote down several notes I think might be a good opportunity.
Have
for
you guys heard of Joy Jars?
Yeah,
Jesse
Jesse
Reese.
Reese, the
Yes.
Jesse Reese Foundation.
Yes, so Trey, my son, they just finished their Joy Jar drive at the middle school, so they were out before school. I don't know if you guys saw
Oh
it.
yeah, I saw them,
Yeah,
I did the power cycling and I saw them out there.
Yes, and well, that organization is really touching. Jessie was 12 when she passed away from cancer, and I was talking to Miss Christine about go tour the Joy Factory, get in there, go see what it's all about, listen to their story, go have a joy drive, go and stuff Joy Jars. I mean, that is amazing to go, and they're so particular. And I don't know if you know Cade Spinello. Yeah.
So,
Cade's, he's a NEBU ambassador for Joy Jars, and so he's a cancer, living with cancer, and he's just brings joy and the things that he does. So that's a really good outlet.
I see him every day.
Yeah. My Trey and him are good friends.
So I left a message for the Joy Factory yesterday. I hadn't heard back yet.
Who did you volunteer
To take a tour and to do some work with the Joy Jars or something like that. So I'm just waiting to hear back from them.
Yeah.
So we'll be able to do something with that. A nice way to spend our time.
Yeah, and it's a neat place. They have all these pictures hung up, and they are really neat about, they pick like famous sports people to be their ambassadors to deliver the Joy Jars to the children in the hospitals. And one of the people who's an ambassador, her name is Caitlin Sandino. She's an Olympic swimmer. She's won many gold medals. And funny story is, her sister, I had all 3 of her kids in my classes. So I'm like, oh, it's a little connection. It's like, oh, wait, you're Caitlin Sandino's sister. I had all her kids, and it's just kind of like it all comes around, and you never know
6
how.
degrees of separation.
Yeah. All those things.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Just hear her like crying.
She's fine. She's starved for attention, that little one.
It's funny how she just started crying after she told the story about her dog.
Triggered it, that's it. What would you say is something that our kids here could keep an eye out for, or something that they could maybe do differently in their lives? Being a cancer survivor, talking to young impressionable children, what would you say is something that they maybe should be aware of that they may not be aware of?
I think you need to be very aware of your own bodies. That's super important, and not be embarrassed about it, because I know at your age it's very embarrassing. I mean, I remember being 12 and it was like, oh no, I don't want to talk about having my period. You don't want to do those things. Very embarrassing. But you can't be embarrassed about it around your parents, because they're there to help you. So just be real important. If you feel something weird, let people know, and to be mindful of the people around you. Everybody's fighting a little battle that you probably don't know. It might be cancer, it might be they're sad about something, maybe they got yelled at home, maybe they forgot their homework, maybe they're just having a really bad day. And sometimes it just takes a smile as you walk by someone, give eye contact and a smile or a wave to someone to help brighten their day. So that's super, super important. Don't, giggle or laugh at somebody, just like, give them a smile, a wave. I tell my first graders I have a little book called Heart Prints. And as you go on your day, you leave a heart print on the good things that you do. So it might be something like a little wink as you walk by. I know sometimes I'll look at the kids and I'll, good job, give them a little wink. And I see them like brighten up. And that just kind of lets you know, hey, okay, you're a good person and I like you, and it makes people feel accepted.
I think that's such a good takeaway, girls. I know we've talked a lot about this. You're probably like, oh my gosh, Miss Christine, stop it. At your age group, and honestly, even us moms get into our own little world and everything going on inside of our world, and it's very difficult to see outside of your own world because there's so much going on in our own lives, right? All of us in this room, everybody. And I think taking a moment, and as you're walking by somebody that's probably got their head down or something like that, or maybe the kid at school that doesn't have as many friends or something like that, you don't know what's going on in their lives, you don't know what's going on inside their body and what they're going through, you're right, even just some eye contact with a little smile. You don't have to do anything that's crazy, but you'd be surprised what just a little eye contact and smile can do for somebody to brighten their day, because that could be the difference between a good day and a bad day for a lot of people. I think that's a very big takeaway.
Yeah, and all those, I don't know if the middle school used to do the random acts of kindness. Do they still?
Oh,
do
yeah.
that?
I've never heard of this.
Well, but you know what, the takeaway from that is super important. Like, I will write, like you know how you Post-it notes, I'll write a little note to a student, I'll just stick a sticky note on their desk, like, hey, I love the way you smile, or hey, I love that you turned in your homework this week, or just, I'll leave little sticky notes on their desks, and it brings such joy to those kids. So think about that. You could get Post-it notes, and you could write a little, hey, I think you're really cool. Fold it up, stick it in their locker. Just random acts of kindness, so that someone opens up.
Your
It's like,
kids have lockers?
well, no, but you guys do.
Yeah.
Well,
No,
you
no,
could get lockers.
No.
You
Kind
could.
of like death threat notes that have happened.
Okay, so that was bad.
Yeah.
But think of the good friends leaving a little note for a friend.
Wait, I thought we were.
bet you when I find the lockers for D2.
As long as they're positive.
You can leave notes in people's lockers, they just need to be positive.
Yes.
They need to be positive.
Okay, bad idea.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate, the schools have made it so sensitive, yeah, it's crazy. But it doesn't need to be, like I said, it doesn't even need to be a note, it could just be,
It could be or a smile or
something, like, it's kinda nice, and, one of the things I do when I know that, people might be going through something, even just a bad day, I'm kind of old school, like Jen, I love getting notes in the mail, I'll jot up notes, so I drive all the time, as all of you know, I'm always in my car, so I've always got like 5 or 10 greeting cards in my car, and if I have a few minutes between appointments and I know someone's having a tough day, I'll write out a greeting card, and I keep stamps in there, and I just drop it at the next mailbox I can find, and it made me feel really good when I can do that, and then I'll like 3 days later, I get a text from somebody and completely made their day, just because I sent a note for no reason, so.
it makes you feel really good too.
It made me feel great. It
You're
made me
like,
feel
wow.
really good. Yeah, and it makes you want to keep doing it. That's why I always continue to do that. Girls, I'll tell you a quick story that you probably don't know. When I was 29, I found out that I had skin cancer. And I had a little blemish on my chest. And it really was just a pink blemish. It's all it looked like. It was probably no bigger than my pinky right here, my pinky nail. And it was right here. And every day when I'd get ready for work, I'd put my makeup on and I would just put powder right here. Because I'm like, what the hell is that? And
Mom,
Just
that's
put-
a bad word.
excuse me.
That is a bad word.
Excuse me.
It really is, it is a bad word.
Excuse me,
It
pardon
is
me,
not.
I'll take it back. And so I used to put powder on it and to cover it up. I did that for almost 6 months. 6 months. I'm like, because I was busy and I had small babies, and it was hard. I was just ignoring it. And then finally, on my birthday, I decided to take Doctor Day. And so I took my birthday off, and I scheduled a OBGYN appointment to have my
An
Girl.
OB.
girl parts checked, a woman's doctor. And I had a dermatologist appointment. And I went to see my dermatologist first, and she looked at it, and she goes, well, you have skin cancer. And she goes, I'm gonna take a biopsy of it because I need to, because that's what we need to do to figure out treatment. But she goes, you have skin cancer. And I said, happy birthday. And she goes, today's your birthday. And I go, yes it is, I'm 29. I never thought that skin cancer, I pictured it more of an old person disease. And I never thought that somebody as young and vibrant and outgoing and busy as me could get it. And between the time that I went for that appointment and the 2 weeks later that I had scheduled to have it removed, I already had another spot pop up. And what I had was called, and if you're gonna have skin cancer, it's the better kind to have. I was called basal cell carcinoma, and a lot of people actually get it. It is
Is it genetic?
It is not. It is skin cancer. That's my daughter. It is skin cancer caused by sun damage when I was a kid. And I didn't wear enough sunblock when I was a kid, and I wasn't educated like you guys are. I'm sure your mom and dads are all over you about it.
Nope.
I'm
Yeah.
Skin
cancer.
Oh my god. Yeah.
So you have to wear sunscreen, and so the cancer, what basal cell carcinoma does, is it grows like a vine like this, right underneath your skin. And so it doesn't go into the blood, which is the bad kind.
That's
It-
my dad died of, that's melanoma.
Right. It grows like this. It grows like this. And so what happened,
Go upstairs, Ryan. Go.
what happened is in the time that I identified the first piece, it had already popped through on another side. And I had this massive vein, basically, of cancer growing underneath my chest skin. So I have 3 scars on my chest. It's a good thing I'm really freckly. You can't really even see them now. I don't even know if I could find them myself.
I've never noticed scars on your chest ever.
And
Hello.
it's something I don't talk about that much, but I really should, because it was just something silly that I just thought was a blemish. And come to find out, it was taking over my whole chest area. But here's the thing. While I was there, the doctor, the dermatologist, basically said, strip. I want to see every piece of your body. And on the back, on my lower back, I had a huge scar about this big. And it's where she found pre-melanoma. The same thing that Miss Jen's dad died of, I had growing on my back, and I didn't even know it. And I wouldn't have known it if I didn't go for that skin check because of a blemish I had here. And I think it's another amazing takeaway that Miss Jen said is to be aware of your own body. I yelled at my husband because I can't see my back and he can, so I figured it's his fault that I had it and missed it. But that's a big takeaway, and I was probably weeks away from having to go through enormous amounts of cancer battles if I didn't catch that spot on my back before I did. And as it was, I had to have quite a big surgery done on my back to have it removed. So something you probably didn't know about me. I'll share that story, seeing as it's probably timely. Natalie?
2 questions. 1, how come I don't know that?
Because as moms, we don't want to frighten our children.
Okay. And 2,
Yeah,
is
thank
that
you.
one genetic?
Melanoma can be. It can be. It's essentially it's usually it's a mole that basically genetically changes the cell structure and turns cancerous. That's what happens with melanoma, and it can be
I
genetic.
get checked every single year.
And I will tell you, absolutely you want to be aware of that, because skin cancer is very prominent where we live because of the sun exposure that we get. We get lots of vitamin D, which is amazing, but there's a lot of people, my generation, that are having skin cancer removed because we didn't wear sunscreen when we were kids. So I'm telling you right now, when your parents are getting on you about sunscreen, and if they're not getting on you, you're all smart enough and aware enough to put it on yourself. You should wear it on your face every day. Every day before you go to school, it should be either sunscreen or in your moisturizer. on your neck, on your hands. You really should wear it every single day.
That's very excessive.
At the very least, you'll have less wrinkles than all of your friends when you're 50.
That's a positive.
At the very least.
That's very accessible.
Any other thoughts or questions for Miss Jen?
Sadie has a question.
Hey ladies, thank you for letting me come and talk with you. You guys are awesome. I'm so glad you have such a good friend base and you're here and you do these kinds of things. Keep at it, and just never you never know what people are going through. So just kind of remember that when you're walking through your day. You're sitting at the lunch tables. People might make you
I think my dog will be outside.
We want to give you a little thank you gift.
Thank you.
This is an amazing gift for a very busy person because it's a self-watering technique.
Oh,
I'm like, oh, we need to get her this.
oh, very sweet. Well, thank you very much.
We really appreciate you
Thank
spending
you.
your very
Thank you.
Yeah, enjoy. I can't wait to hear like what kind of projects they come up with.
We will follow up with you.
Yeah,
You
because there's so
know.
many wonderful things, not just with cancer, but with other things that you can get involved with. And it really do. You make a difference in someone's life. So, thank you.
Everyone say thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
Sadie's not.
I know, I know.
Ryan, don't let her out, okay? I don't want her peeing everywhere.
Hi,
Ryan. What's up?
The way you said it is so good.
Yeah, because I was outside. And then I just brought her. I was like,
All right, girls.
what do you mean? Mom, your turn.
No, it was snowing out at the beginning.
Yes. So what do you guys think?
Like, we're totally. But,
Yeah, you did.
I didn't know a lot at that point.
What's a takeaway?
I'm just going.
Check for cancer because now we're scarred.
We are
Be
be grateful.
It's 24.
Yeah.
24 cookies.
Tara, that's a
Didn't get
great
here.
takeaway.
Yeah, she looked through my
They have more business now. I feel like I should see all every week with this.
Yeah. but,
So every one of my kids has had a spot cut off their body
Right.
from a dermatologist.
What?
You have one on
This
like
spot, you have a little spot right here. Right here. Ryan had a mole right here that I had removed. It was precancerous. Natalie had a spot on her back removed.
Precancerous too.
Precancerous. And Amanda had Amanda, yeah, Natalie didn't handle it very well.
4th grade.
And Amanda had a spot taken off her finger. Melanoma often happens on your back, your hands, or your feet. So I don't know why,
That young?
but young. So the spot when Amanda had it taken off her hand was a pre-melanoma spot, and she was 10 when I had it taken off. So you do, Ella, it's very, know your body, know where your freckles are.
Well, now
If you get a new spot,
Sadie
it's really important.
and spending every cell in my hair.
I was like, see you next year.
Wait, what?
Bye, Ryan. Bye, Ryan.
And you guys, it's, I appreciate your laughter, and it's fine to laugh about it. It's nothing to be scared of. It's just, if you had a new spot pop up, just make sure mom and dad know about it and watch it. And if it gets bigger or gets darker or something like that, you want to schedule an appointment, just have it looked at. It's not a big
The
deal.
ABCs of skin cancer.
I don't know where they are. Where are they?
The ABCs?
What?
Okay, so when you have a spot, what you are looking at is something to remember this by. Is if it's, so usually they're symmetrical, right, around?
Yeah.
And if you cut it in half, and one side's a little wonky, and one side's smooth and round, that's asymmetrical. So that's A. B, border. The border is not going to be smooth and round, but it'll be uneven and kind of choppy. So this is not always, but this is something to kind of look at. And then C is the color, like if it starts out to be like a little light brown, then all of a sudden it starts to get black or red or something different than it was.
That's terrifying.
Yeah. And so that's And then they throw in the D for like, I think it's greater than a centimeter, but that's not always the case.
That's a great way to think about it. I've never thought about that in that way.
Yeah, but some of them are so tiny that you don't even see them
Yeah.
until like on the hand and everything. That's really
Hands
scary.
and toes.
I know that we're all like,
I know, who knew?
I went to stop here like 3 months
A
ago,
mole.
and now I'm telling
All of
you,
them are moles.
Like a dark mole or?
these are
I have one on the
Hers
back
was
side.
hers was very dark.
Hers
Hers was very dark and it was getting,
terrified.
it was growing bigger at a faster pace than she was growing. So we had watched it for almost 2 years before we decided to get rid of it.
on your face.
And then,
Same with this one. This one's been being watched for 4 years now.
she's got one like this one. This
And
is
then
not
I'll
her
put on my
favorite.
back
So,
too.
so we're watching this
okay.
mole right here. So she's got this mole right here. We're watching it. Moles are very normal. If it grows at the same speed your body's growing, it's fine. But so every 6 months, because my kids are my kids and I've had stuff removed, the doctor goes and looks at all, and they look at them under a microscope. She takes this thing and goes like this and says, okay, it hasn't changed. And at the ABCs, that's a great way to think
And
about
then
it.
she like measures
She
it.
measures it and makes sure it's growing like at the same way she's growing, but mostly it was moles. Mine wasn't. That's why I measured mine. Mine looked like, it looked like a blemish. It looked like, I
I
burnt
have it on my
myself or
stomach.
something that,
It's like over
and
here.
it was just a red blemish. It was odd, so odd. It didn't hurt, it wasn't raised, nothing. So that's why I mentioned that.
But the one on your back, was it like?
The one on my back was a mole. The one on my back was a mole.
did the one on your back look, did it look unusual?
It was very unusual.
Yeah.
I had no idea. And I was 29 and I just didn't know what I didn't know.
Yeah.
I didn't even think that
Well, you
skin
probably
cancer
couldn't
could be
see it
possible.
either, so-
I couldn't see it, and it would never enter me or my husband's minds that I could have skin cancer. I mean, I had babies I was taking care of and working, and I was too young for skin cancer. It never even dawned on me. Even when I went for the dermatologist, I thought she was just giving me a little cream. I thought I was having a reaction to something. I thought she just put some cream on it. Yeah, so totally changed my perspective. And you do start to look at things through a different lens, you know, and I am a crazy person about sunblock with my kids, and my kids all roll their eyes and they hate me for it, but I look at their skin through a different lens than they do. I know their skin, the UV rays on the skin is damaging their skin. So if the UV is blocked by sunblock, it's not damaging their skin. And I said, literally, the best case, you have less wrinkles than all your 50-year-old friends. It's a great thing.
Now I kind of get why my dad grounds me every time I get a sunburn.
Yes. Yeah. It's not healthy at all. Yes.
If you put sunblock on, do you still get tan?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh,
Very.
okay, I didn't know that.
Yes.
But like if you get tan, you get
But you
like-
don't get sunburned. You get a healthy glow from the sun is what you do.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah, you still do. I wear 50 sunblock, and when I come back from vacation, you can tell that I've gotten a little bit of sun, but it's a healthy amount. Good? All right, why don't, I have a couple more things I wanna bring to everyone's attention, but do we need a cookie break?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Is that even a question?
I know, my bad.
On the red drink cookie.
I would just be like dead if I heard someone say no.
Oh,
right?
I like got you one because you're crippled.
She's great, huh?
Oh, so God.
Wait, I was crippled. What happened?
Yeah, she hurt herself and
Yeah, I
she.
know. I don't talk about that much. I don't know why. I do.
How dare you hurt
Not
yourself?
really the time to talk about it, but.
Tara. Yeah.
Oh,
That's okay. I just ate.
How dare you hurt yourself?
That Jared came over and got cookies from her husband. You didn't put it on here.
Nope, I did mine.
Yeah, because, it was like, your calculations and the ones that I had, it was like, 24. So I'm going through, it is,
That's quite a few too.
Oh.
yeah, so, cause I know she sold over 200.
Oh, and it's not there.
Yeah,
Okay, so I need to enter that in.
yeah, and I'll show you.
What was it, do you remember?
Yeah.
It felt
I put it on
crunchy.
there.
Oh my gosh, thank you. Yeah, I love it. That's why I print these though for everybody, so that, and actually, I had another mom have something else that I missed, so perfect.
Well, it was, on this day, and I didn't know if there's a number on there, I couldn't see small enough.
Good, February 16th, that's so funny.
Oh, what if
Yeah.
I watched
Yeah,
it?
I'll add it in. What?
filming?
Okay.